Thanks for coming. So my name is Eneko. I come from ASTI, Marine Research Institute in the Basque Country, which is located there in the northeastern corner of Spain. That's my area of study. I'm going to talk about the data collection program regarding the recreational fishing in our area. We use different methods. We made an off-site phone survey in 2023, and then we make continuous sampling on screening or countings of fishers, anglers, fishing boats, and spearfishers. And we also make some questionnaires, face-to-face questionnaires on-site to fishers, asking them for their profile, their experience, the fishing effort, and catch, and so on. I will focus on the second one, which is based on the countings of anglers in this case. Yeah, but first of all, that's one of the message, and could be also a divulgative title of instead of the long title I give you. That sampling is not always the same as the sampling plan, and if even that this is not politically correct to say, our estimates were, are, and will be wrong. But we could also say, right, we have our best data. We do as best as possible. So how we get the least worst estimates with the data that we have? Can we optimize our future sampling with our already limited sampling framework? Because we have limited resources for making the samplings, but that's what we have. And which is the best estimation method considering the available data? So that's the main question. I will focus on a case study of anglers targeting Northeast Atlantic mackerel, Scomber, scombrus. And as you can see here, the sampling distribution is not uniform. It's not as good as we would like, but it's focused on the springtime. That's a seasonal fishery. And as you can see, there is quite a lot of difference depending on the year, on the number of samplings, and the number of countings. If we go for a sampling design, then we can use C-squares to make a grid and try to distribute the sampling coverage somehow, then to make better estimates from our empirical data. And I will try to explain quite briefly that we use 3 different models to try to get and identify which is the best one to provide some estimates. The first one is the 2-stage cluster, and that's basically randomly selecting the dates and locations for making the counts. The second one is a stratified 2-stage cluster, which is basically the same, but with a stratification by region at the first point. And the third one is the probability proportional to size sampling design. It is basically the same structure, but then we can provide the model some known auxiliary values as reference, such as the previous activity of the previous years or previous estimates. We also provide the number of locations and the total number of fishers that we estimated from the phone survey in 2023. So with these auxiliary values, we try to adjust a little bit those estimates. I'm not going to go through the details. If anyone is interested, please then come to me and I can give you more details. But just as a summary, in 2 of the 3 models, we also make some adjustments, providing the number of eligible days and the weekend days, because during the weekends we know that there is potential fishing activity, but we will not be sampling in harbors. So there is no sampling, but there is potential activity. So that adjustment is applied for the last 2 models. And for the third one, we also make the correct calibration. So that's also providing known auxiliary values, such as total number of anglers and the prior activity of the previous years or previous estimates, just to try to calibrate a little bit the outcomes. So if we try to make those estimates by harbor, that's what we get. As you can see, it's strongly driven by the number of countings that we have depending on the year and the harbor. So we cannot go with this to a stakeholder or to a manager and say, look, this is our best. But of course, the managers will ask us, okay, provide at least some estimates about the sampling effort or the number of anglers that are targeting Northeast Atlantic mackerel. So if we go for the total estimate for each of the years, and we plot the estimates depending on the three models, you can see that the one in below, that it's red, orange kind of line, that would be like our best estimate, because it's not so driven by the number of samples, as you can see in the top panel. So it's kind of calibrating a little bit the differences in the sampling effort. So let's keep our best model as reference. And now imagine that we take the whole data set that we have, and we select the data from the certain harbors that we could consider as reference harbors. So if we rerun the model and we make the estimates, and it's not so bad. I mean, if the first model that I show in the red line is good enough to make or to provide some kind of estimate, then this second one should also be okay. And for the second one, we only need half of the sampling effort. So then it's kind of okay. The point and the question that I would like to food for thought, let's say, for you, and I'm open for all of kind of suggestions, is that of course we know that we need to increase the sampling effort, because as much sampling effort will reduce the uncertainties of the estimates. That's for sure. We also observe that the calibrated models and the adjusted models will provide better estimates, but we don't know which is the minimum sampling size, because we don't have a census data. So we have to deal with this. I mean, if we are going to increase our sampling effort, should we go and try to cover every harbor and at least have a couple of samplings in each harbor, covering all the sea squares in the map? Or could we focus on the reference harbors, try to increase the sampling effort in those harbors and try to improve those estimates? Because if you remember, the first model is good enough, then the second would be also quite okay. So increasing the sampling effort on selected locations, let's say convenience sampling, would be much easier for the samplers. And with kind of less resources, we could still obtain good enough estimates. That's the main idea of this exercise. Of course, we will still have some sampling bias, but if we consider as representative estimates, then should be quite okay, good enough. And of course, we can optimize the sampling also during the specific season, because these reference harbors could work for the Northeast Atlantic mackerel, but probably not for the other species. So we could then have to make some tests and see what's going on there. In any case, as I said, we don't have, and probably we will not have a census-based approach, because we don't have a reference of the total. So we will always have to deal with estimates. And of course, new control regulation from Europe will provide more information, more useful data that we will be able to include into our models. So the point is, should we go through those reference harbors and convenience sampling, or should we try to cover as much as possible in the map, even if we cannot cover, let's say, more than 2-3 samplings per harbor? That's more question to you than to answer, but that's the main idea of this exercise. So thanks for your attention.
Thanks very much, Nico. We've got quite a bit of time for questions. So anybody has anything?
Eneko, fantastic presentation, the one
Thanks.
before and this one. Just out of curiosity, I guess you were talking about food for thought around increasing sampling size or finding ways to basically ensure that you've got a better understanding of fisher effort. Do you totally disconsider alternative or complementary survey methods, such as remote monitoring of some of your real important boat ramps to complement the data set that you have from your sampling surveys?
Yeah, well, actually, we tried an online survey, which is voluntary, and we opened one, let's say, survey form that is open. We try to reach to all this on-site survey and all the people that we are making questionnaires and say, look, this is the web page. You can go and you can provide data. And in 5 years, we only got 4 different fishers providing voluntarily data. So in that sense, of course, phone survey could be also a complementary one. Recalls could be another one. So the phone survey provided us quite good information, but of course we don't have a reference, so we don't know whether the phone surveys is much better than the on-site or screening service that we are making on the field. But yes, of course, as the point is, we don't have much resources. We are quite few people working on this field, and of course, to make some samplings, I mean, I go to sample by myself also. So, I mean, we are 3-4 people for covering this. So, which is the best way to at least be able to provide some kind of estimates? That's an open question. I mean, of course, if we would have more possibilities, or I saw also that presentation from Bea about the YouTube information that we could get. Why not? For sure, there is some information that is available without going to the field, but that's something open to consider. Sampling effort to double, probably the estimates will come to half. I don't know. The point is we don't have any reference yet, so we are starting from zero in just 3-4 years, and that reference should be possible at least if we get total number of licenses. Hopefully we will have in a few years, so at least we will get an idea. And, I mean, we only have the census of the habitants by region that we use as percentages to redistribute our estimates, and not much more. So the minimum sampling size, well, it's on the literature, of course, but I mean, yeah, of course, depending also on the number of total fishers that